Here's another late development, and this news keeps coming in as we're talking here.
Why should I always do that when I smoke cigarettes?
He still ain't fixed that smoke detector.
Kind of froze.
Still ain't fixed.
Boy, I got 7 smoke detectors in this house. You think I care about one? The one that's beeping right next to another one. You want me to go use my off day to worry about fixing up the house?
Hey, that's a 30-minute task, my brother.
Yeah, man.
30 minutes. That's more like a 2 minute.
Search and
That's 2
destroy.
minutes.
Just replace them all.
On my motherfucking PS5.
I'll be more than happy when I come back to Chicago to come change your smoke detector. I know you're a little vertically challenged, so I feel you, bro.
You don't think I got a letter, nigga? My mother and father carbon.
I'm not here to
I'm
judge
prepared.
you.
I just don't care.
I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to help you.
Yeah. I'm out here trying to make my player a 90 on the 2K.
Maxed out stats. All right. There you go.
Who that, Demeti?
Yeah.
Talking about what's the info, like it ain't a text above.
Yo,
text.
I didn't realize it was the same link every week.
Yeah.
We efficient like that, bro. We efficient.
Right. I didn't even know we was that efficient.
You got a real producer in the building. I don't like making my people work any harder to get in here than they have to.
See, I know how you get out. I'm fucking up. Okay, good.
All right, Lynn, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Books and Beyond Mail Club, Mail Book Club, Mail Strip Club, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays. We are joined, as always, by Rob, JB, Black, and Domati Pongo. We are all in the building.
Domati. So we're going to do it correctly.
No, see, it depends on when you met him. It's post 2010.
No, I'm saying it's 2020. We need everybody to know how to pronounce that shit. We can't let nobody be dumb no more.
Okay, then Domati, tell us how.
Domati.
Yeah, Black is right. It's Domati.
Domati.
Domati. See, the emphasis has to be on the last syllable. Domati.
Domati.
No, you said no. It's not Domai. It's just Domati.
Domati.
Yeah. So it's a speed up, Domati.
But you gotta say the T.
You should know it, bro.
Domati.
The T is the hardest part.
Oh, you know what? Let me say it in the accent. So Heero, this is how Heero gonna get it. Domati.
Domati.
Yes.
It's the accent.
Domati. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, then how we doing, Rob? How was your week, Rob?
Hey, man, week was smooth. All these weeks seem to blend together. I'm looking forward to this upcoming week. Got some popping off at the gig.
All right. JB, 2 weeks in a row, you're not wearing your Bears gear. I'm a little concerned. The season isn't over yet. I'm telling you, have hope.
No, man, we good, man. We got a bye week this week, so it's gonna be a good day for me. I ain't gotta plug up the heart machine, none of that. So we good, man.
Okay, bye week. And Black, you are trying to max out your creative character on 2K.
Yeah, just 2 on right now. So everybody get their PS5s. I want them to come in. I'll be able to just guide them through on the route.
And I'm digging the mask. You have a signature mask on. Like I'm mad you got your signature and everything on it with your logo. Like I just want to know what we got to do to be that special. Like what
I need to send y'all something. I need to get some more made. It was funny because I had these made and I was like, yo, I should give them out. But I'm like, nah, this pandemic ain't gonna last that long.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. Got my goof ass. And so
even afterwards though, niggas gonna be still wearing them, bro.
Yeah, that's a fashion statement now, G.
Oh yeah, everybody got a matching outfit for it, man. Everybody got a matching outfit. And like I said, You guys gonna have to forgive me.
Mhm.
I'm a little weary to the eyes. I just got done with like an 8-hour surgery. I got here, so forgive me. My boys are gonna have to carry me because I only made it to chapter 12, and let me stop lying, like 11 and a half, to be honest. But we can go back to chapter 10 and start off since Black didn't want to jump on that. Well, kudos to you, Black, because you were right, because eventually I wasn't gonna make it. So this is one chapter I had in the book from the past. You feel me? On that. So from chapter 10, I have a bunch of post-it notes, but we can just go in order. Anybody want to take the lead on this? Something they found interesting?
In closing of last week, Black wanted to open us up with a quote that hit him hard from chapter 10. So I guess I say we start there.
Oh yeah, Black. What was it?
Go ahead. Which one? Shit, I wrote down some quotes.
Hell, Cole, you supposed to have a quote written down, Cole. Hell,
man, look.
No, Cole, don't be over.
I made a quote. I put a quote on it. I don't know if that's from 10 or 11. It was talking about speaking on what this how men talk. Saying the old men talk of what they have done. The young men what they are doing, and the fools speak of what they intend to do.
That's 11.
That's 11.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was one of the chapters, but I know I like it that one. I'm like, man. But what I don't like about that is people always it's like people have a fear of speaking on what they want to do and what they're going to do, because they think somebody's gonna stop them. Like if you know you're gonna do it, regardless of what anybody gonna say, they can't stop you.
I don't think it's only that. I think sometimes people struggle between this fine line of speaking what you plan to do into existence and that thing coming off as you being bragged for or boastful.
That's too. I have written down here going back home. I kind of took this as an off topic because they talked about how a little bit in chapter 10 how we don't really have an identity or a place to call home. Like how many times have we been in a conversation with people in the U.S. or people who are red to their blood and they've said something along the lines of this isn't your country and America wouldn't exist without Black people's ocean. But that notion also stuck in my head as a person who travels home frequent. Like, why don't we go back home? Like, why do we trust spitting inside of a cup and sending it off to a lab to tell you where you're from? I mean, they have geneticists and anthropologists in Africa who could.
But they have an African like Ancestry.com too.
Oh, for sure. But like, the American version of that is it'll tell you have this much in you and you're from the west part of Africa versus, going to Africa, getting the test done where you can be told, oh, you're from a Keja village. Like this is where your ancestors walked type stuff. So what is the premise of that? Like how do you find yourself questioning that? Like there's two people in the group who can speak to their ancestral backgrounds. But for those of you who don't know your ancestral backgrounds, do you feel that having this knowledge would change your perspective on things, the way you view yourself? JB?
I think it'll have a huge impact on the way I view a lot of things because, I mean, it's something you just don't know. And the book kind of get into it. It's like you had an education that's kind of given to you and the education that you seek out yourself. And that is something that I've been looking towards because you look around and like people that know they like exactly where they from and their culture and their history, like they're a lot more grounded and rooted like they and what they're doing. So I mean, I feel like personally that'll have a huge impact on where I'm going. And I feel like that's a part of my personal growth where I'm headed anyway. And to go back to chapter 10 is something that really stood out to me. The whole thing was talking about like loss of vision, right? And like how we do have a lot of people that want to be segregated, but it talks about how like a lot of people in the Black community want to be segregated for all the wrong reasons, right? Like, and but it also say like you have to use segregation to kill segregation, and how we have to feed into each other. And something you said last time, like we need to be able to be more patient with one another as business owners, as we continue to grow. and learn in order to get to where we need to go, else we won't kind of get there. So yeah, I mean, chapter 10 took me in a lot of different directions, thought process wise.
Oh, definitely. Rob, do you have anything to speak on just your cultural background, like what that would mean with that piece of information?
I think for me, it's something I want to do, but I'm real cautious to willingly give out my DNA, and fear of, I have a lot of siblings, right? And I don't know what they out here doing, and I don't want to give out my DNA.
The Golden Gate Killer was caught that way. The Golden Gate Killer's nephew in California gave a DNA test to try and surprise his grandmother, and when he came back, he got a knock at his door from the FBI, and they were like, "Hey, do you have like a uncle or like a distant relative who's probably like 80 years old?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Matthew. He lived down the street." And they called his ass that way. That's why I said you'd be better off doing it in Africa, because at least there the jurisdiction is definitive. And if you do it at a hospital, then you're grounded by things like HIPAA and protective services from that type of angle. But here in America, those corporate companies give information out to the FBI and insurance companies. So for sure. What about you, Black? What's your feelings on this?
I always say I'm gonna do it. I don't care. Like none of like they ain't like they're gonna come here and find my fucking I know who criminals, so I ain't like if they come to my house like, yeah, so you know what's name? I'm like, nah, what's that? I got a brother that name? You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, you got 100 pictures with him. I'm like, man, I never even knew that was his name. I've been calling him motherfucking Pooju all my life. I ain't seen that motherfucker in 10 years.
Wow. Then okay, so then real quick then, so Matty, what you've taken people on trips to Ghana. I'm not sure if that was through a company or through something of your own finding that you've taken people back home to kind of see themselves. Can you speak on that a little bit? Like what, seeing those people gain that knowledge. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I think it was through my company, and I partnered with this company called Sankofa. And like, you know, I think y'all opened with something that was telling, like, when you Black in this country, you feel like a visitor here sometimes. At least I do sometimes. And it's like it's where imposter syndrome comes from, because it's like, yo, when you're doing well, if you celebrate it too much, you feel like you're bragging because you should be lucky to be here. You should be happy to be here. And like white people say stuff that make you subconsciously feel that way. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, when you relish in your success or anything that you're happy about or in your skill set, it's like, yo, he's arrogant, you know, be humble. Whereas when they do it, it's like expected, you know what I'm saying? Because they belong in those spaces. And so I thought a lot of that was because we don't have a connection to our homeland. Like it's a lot to unpack right there, but you know, just to oversimplify it. And I felt like if I took people in a place where everybody was Black, like something as simple as seeing a billboard full of dark-skinned faces, it changes your whole perspective. It makes you feel like you belong in this world. You know what I'm saying? Like even when you bump into people in Ghana, like when I took the Americans to Ghana, and like, you know, if you bump into somebody and they got a bad attitude, you don't have to worry why they got a bad attitude. They just an asshole because they're an asshole. It's not racism involved or whatever the case may be. You know, you just feel like you belong. And so I feel like even when you talk about the miseducation and then how we move through the world, it's that feeling of belongingness. And we feel out of place in certain jobs in corporate America because we ain't really supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? So,
for sure.
But like, so I wonder when people came back to the country to carry that same sense of pride and confidence, like, yo, you belong anywhere you are, because there's a whole place where it's nothing but you, nothing but brilliant Black people that look like you. So when you come back to America, keep that same pride. You know what I'm saying? Fuck them niggas.
For sure. So then now let's push into the second topic, which is for chapter 10. They talked about this a little bit, how it be our own people holding us down and trying to hurt us. But I think that also speaks into the nature of two things. One, we brag about how, man, when we were separated, when segregation was a thing, people like to point to Black Wall Street and Philly and the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. Like prior to those events, hey, Black people were thriving. We had our own everything. We did everything our way. And is true to a certain extent, but if you are a fish in a fish bowl, of course you're gonna feel comfortable. You put that same goldfish in the ocean, which would back in this analogy is the United States of America. We don't stand a chance. We don't have anything that can compete against that. But this idea of trying to segregate or separation versus isolation, is there some firm belief that we can do this without our white counterparts in this country? Do we feel like we can actually make it in this country without them? Because we know they can't make it without us. So why would we think they can make it without? Why would we think we could make it without them?
Well, as far as that, Demedi going to the airport, so he's gonna come back in and out as he can. So the way God damn, it just threw me out. Demedi leaving. Fucking they was talking about that. They was talking about that. I think in chapter 11 or 12. So like the way they teach you to where basically they've been talking about that the whole book, to where they try to make sure black people understand that white people are superior, so that they're accepted, and then when they have a black person in a superior position, the black people don't accept it and are willing to conform to it. And then as a white person that is in charge, it's okay to take some of them. It's okay to take them out, take that black person out of that position, because these black people understand a white boss better. And then for other ones that feel that they need for correction, they would get rid of the ones that is not able to follow who the fuck they put in control, like as a manager or whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that was in chapter 12.
That's a little bit into chapter 12. But then going back, so like, what's this identity for you, JB? Separation versus isolation. Do you prefer to separate yourself from people that don't have your best interest, or is this form of isolation something you bring on?
Yeah, so I wanted to say something kind of after Dometi finished, like,
Sure.
Being able to no, it connects right to what you're asking. So like being able to see other people that's successful like yourself succeed, and like being able to see a billboard full of black people, like that's normal. That goes back to like wanting to know where you come from. And I personally feel like that's why I want to live in an area like Charlotte, and the book touch on an area like Charlotte where black education is something that's disseminated amongst people, and you have different standards for yourself.
You talking about North Carolina?
Yeah, in North Carolina. And you have different standards for yourself when that type of stuff happens, like Dometi kind of touched on, like just you get over celebrated and for being successful at something that it's not that big of a deal, right? And the needle gets moved, and I think you truly understand like what success can look like. Like I think it changes how your trajectory on everything starts to happen. And that's why for me, I try to reach out to as many black successful mentors as I can, and like have different people that's been there and done that and can tell me like, okay, this is what it should look like. So I know I went in a lot of different directions, but I think it just gives you different confidence in yourself and what we can do as a race. And I personally feel like we can use that segregation to breed to separation, and we don't need anybody else to be successful. While I mean, like obviously working together breeds a different level of success, but I think that we have the tools to be successful on our own. Like you put black people on their own country, like that'll probably be the dopest country out there, like if we had the financial resources and everything to have our own country, you know.
We got our own continent, man. It's the dopest place ever.
I was gonna say we have our own continent, but it and Rob, I'll pose this question to you. As a person who's coming from Nigeria, like that government's been corrupt since as long as I've known it, and they had the luxury of not only gaining their independence, they've had it for so long now that they should be able to make do with it. But their entanglements with other companies in other countries, for example, China owning 1/3 of their debt, that makes it hard for them to gain some type of separation. Do you need is separation more than just physical? Do you need a financial aspect of it?
And that's what I kind of meant about the having our own country, because imperialistic nostalgia, and we haven't been imperialized. Like Africa is the most imperialized continent ever. Like you just take all that stuff away and we start from scratch and see what happens. It'll be something special.
All right, then I'll pose this question about Black Lives Matter. This is an organization that was brewed up from the anguish and anger of our youth, people who feel like they've been walked on. And there's a lot of male archetypes, specifically since the four founders were Black women, who seem to attack this group just off of that notion and make up lies about them having this Marxist point of view or being trying to ruin the Black family dynamic. Why don't we show a support for that, Rob, if we're all about that lifestyle of separation?
Well, I think one thing, and I was going to add this to what JB was saying. I think one incremental thing we need to do better is champion each other in public, right, wholeheartedly, and check a motherfucker in private.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, I agree with your movement, but this part, you know, I don't agree with 100%, and this is why, and really have a dialogue to come to a better understanding as a resolution, but keeping that private. I feel like in today's day and age, we support someone 1 minute as a people, and then the next minute we're downing them publicly, and it's like, no, come as a united front, and if you got something you don't really vibe with or agree with, talk about that in the background, but talk about it, you know?
Black, someone who definitely has no problem bringing it to the front of somebody's face. Like, I know Black don't give a damn. Black, are you down with this whole come to them in private type thing? If someone's doing wrong in front of you, are you pulling them to the side, or are you letting it be known?
It depends on who it is and where we at. Because let's say like my brother got my shirt on outside. I ain't gonna in front of everybody be like, nigga, why you got my motherfucking shirt on? I'm gonna be like, nigga, I'm gonna let him know later, like, nigga,
let him know he's fresh. You gonna let him know he's fresh though, right?
Yeah, or let motherfucker like, or let's say my brother in the wrong out in public, like say like he get into it with a motherfucker, or Rob, you know, we I'm hanging with y'all and y'all get into it with somebody and they wrong. I ain't gonna be like, nah, bro, that other guy's right, because if it come down to blows, we just gonna beat dude ass, and then I'm gonna tell you later, like, yo, you was bogus as hell, bro.
All right.
So it depends on the situation.
Situation.
Because I be telling y'all, I don't like for Black people to keep telling their plans to everybody. That way that, you know, white people or whoever is trying to stop it, they gotta step ahead. Like, we already know what you plan on doing. Let's just stop that.
Yeah. And I just think back to, you know, here's an example like Cap and Jay-Z, when Jay-Z, you know, crossed the line, like, you know, for him to say we done kneeling, like, you don't need to say that, bro. Like, just make it seem as though we all moving together, we on the same front in public, you know, and that was always my problem with what Jay-Z did. I don't care what you're doing, but don't be divisive.
Yeah.
And that's what you did.
Yeah.
You know, now you got people on social media going back and forth about you versus Cap, you know, and that ain't what good that did us.
Yeah.
But that's for me, that like, well, shit, what good? Like, I like for the most part, all we do is bring attention to everything, and then that's it. Because we ain't like we doing nothing afterwards.
I don't
for
think
the
that's
most part,
fair.
we not.
I don't think that's a fair jab, because if
Like, what are we doing after we bring attention? Like, everybody say, okay, now you know
give me
about
an example. What do you mean? Like,
now we seen this video of motherfucking George Floyd getting killed. We protest. We do a little something, and then these people don't really ain't really getting the time.
Okay, but name a time where an officer within the first 4 days of murdering somebody was ever arrested, a Black man. That's never happened in this country, at least for the last 53 years. The last time it happened was in Dallas. It was a woman at that, a white woman who shot a Black man. Like, these 4 officers are being held.
I think the other 3 got out, right?
No, one of the 4 got out, but he's literally he was the rookie on the team. He was 2 days, like his second day in, he was just following orders from his superior. So at that point, like, he was given reasonable doubt, but he still had to pay his bond of like $183,000. So, like, it's not the consequence of it, but he's not the culprit. He's not the one we want. We know who we want. And the judge is even taken as far as to hold the divorce of the officer in charge, the officer in the primary case, so that his wife can't take his pension and run and keep their money. So everyone's on tune with this. Everyone's in tune to it. And I feel like if we don't bring attention to it, we don't get stories like Ahmaud Arbery, who went 3 months without no justice after being murdered until someone leaked that video out. So I feel like we have to bring it. Someone has to bring it to the forefront.
No, I didn't say don't bring it attention. I'm saying like what's after.
Okay, now that
what's
part,
gonna prevent it? Like what are we doing after? That's what I'm saying. That's why I like that's why I didn't have too much of a problem with the we done kneeling part, because I feel like what the fuck is next? Because we keep bringing attention to it. Like I was getting, they're losing their job, whatever. They get other private jobs, but way better pay and all that shit. But I'm just saying, like, what are we gonna do to prevent the shit? Like, what's the plan? Or what are we gonna do, as a community afterwards to make sure nothing like that can happen? How do we police our own community?
And the book kind of touch on that, that the Negro will move in hindsight versus making plans for doing things for the future.
Yeah, that's the whole situation where if you got a street and people are speeding down the street, nobody thinks to put a speed bump there until a kid gets hit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a reactive group of people. But I think especially speaking of what you're saying, JB, let's then go to chapter 11, because unless somebody has anything for chapter 10.
Yeah, it said one other thing. It said we won't raise money to help ourselves, but we'll spend money to lynch ourselves.
Wait, hold on now. Wait 1 second. What the fuck does that mean?
And it was talking about systemized exploitation. Like basically, like we'll go fund somebody else. Like, you take one of these black athletes, like they'll go play for Duke, but they won't go and play for HBCU.
It was a shorty that was talking about that. What was that?
Recently, but he ain't committed yet. It sounded good at the time, but are you gonna do it anyway?
You might as well go ahead and go to Howard. Go crazy.
You should. Like, why not? And then it just, again, we don't shop black because it lacked professionalism or whatever, and we don't give ourselves that patience, and we won't go to a black bank because we assume that they not knowledgeable, can't operate in that space. How you think they got a bank? And it's just those sort of things.
I was talking about looting. What's the name of that bank? The black bank on Cottage. We only got one black bank in the city, really. What's the name of that bank?
See, that's the problem. We don't even know.
I know it. Like, I know it because
I'm just saying. We talk about it.
So, like, somebody was like, they were talking about loot after that last couple, because people been getting shot by police on a regular basis. They just shot 2 teenage kids in Florida.
Yeah,
inside of a car, talking about a probable fucking stolen car. It was the driver's girlfriend's car.
I have the story. The car that they said was stolen was
probably
no.
They said probably. That was 5 days after they shot the kid. The sheriff's department released that it was a probable stolen car they were investigating. But it was the driver's girlfriend car.
No, not only that, the car that they were saying was probably stolen happened 40 miles in another county.
Yeah.
60 minutes ago. Even if they were driving 200 miles per hour, they could not have made it to this location in time.
Well, also, you can make it 60 minutes, 40 minute drive. You can make it.
But how fast would you have to be driving? They would have been pulled over a long time ago.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the thing that bugged me the fuck out about that is they followed them for 4 minutes. I mean, for a minute and 30 seconds.
It was between 2 and 4
a minute and 30 seconds.
Was on ring camera.
And no police lights. No police lights.
No police lights. The lady hopped out with a gun. And ran behind her car. And then the other dude,
running in front.
It didn't look like the kids were trying to get away or hurt them. It looked like they were trying to move out the fucking way because they were just blocking the road.
They thought the police were trying to get by. We will never know what the kids think. We will never know because
the dude fired. The girl didn't fire. Only the one dude fired, and he basically walked up on the car. The car drove back out of the driveway they were in.
You want to know why? Because the lady officer followed the rules. The white male officer had a vendetta out to kill. He drew his weapon. He wanted to kill someone, and not only just kill the driver. You killed an innocent bystander. The
That was in the back
passenger,
seat.
the
Well, they all was
passenger.
innocent shit. What the driver do? Ain't nobody. They didn't like they tried to attack him. You're not even supposed to shoot at a moving. If you even when
You're
the
not.
car's running away, you give them the space so
Yeah,
the maneuver. You don't scare them too much because it's in the fear of hitting somebody else. The
yeah,
little boy mama was right there screaming.
yeah. You can hear it in the background. It's crazy, and it's just this whole justifiable reason because that video went up, and there's this dude named Officer Tatum who can't wait to talk about how black kids or black people deserve to be treated by the police as a black man and as an officer. And that's why I always say is the black officers that if I come into contact with them, I know they don't give a fuck because they've already proven to their
I want to come in
colleagues.
contact with their ass afterward.
Yeah, I don't trust the cop, period. But
Black always trying to fight somebody.
Fix his ass up. See what that training helped them out with.
Let's go to chapter 11 then. JB, were you done with that point?
It was one other thing because I know everybody always killing Kanye.
We still gonna keep killing his punk ass.
I love Kanye,
but
I got Kanye back. I support Kanye.
Yeah, I support him too. And one thing he talk about is we need to be able to produce for ourselves. He always say, we've moved to the city.
This is a person. He's a hypocrite. This is a person that took $1.7 million from the Republican Party.
So this is what I say about that, Heero. The person that you despise the most, you can always learn something from. And that doesn't mean that some of the things that he don't say don't got some fact to some other things that he say. And one thing he say is that we don't need to be living in the cities right now. We should be moving back to more rural areas so that we can produce what we eating. And we need to be making what we wearing and building what we live.
The city Kanye built had my job, I'll move there.
Yeah, and building where we live because we not valuable to society, really. Like they could fire all of us and then what? And that's what he be saying is that, the cities are built. You don't need to be in the city. It's not really a way for black people.
I believe he'll have a real school too, because I don't think he's gonna Dr. Umar his thing. He got everything he got going on.
Yeah, okay. You know what, JB, and I'll speak to full respect, and I'm not gonna be a cynic here. The idea sounds great. The execution and the executioner in this situation is not something that I can really back because his idea about, okay, let's leave the city and go to the rural parts of the country. You're talking about $1 million ventures right here. Most people who live in a city are living there because that is the most profitable place for them to live. There's a reason why farmland, no one wants to be a farmer. I don't know if y'all remember like 3 years ago, the Super Bowl commercial about thank God I'm a farmer. If you've never seen that commercial, go watch that commercial and it shows the gruesome nature of being a farmer. Living in the rural area is not something that a lot of people are equipped to do.
They'll have the knowledge, but as far as him, like I didn't see that portion of him saying move to the city, to the country though. But I like how he was saying how he wants to teach the kids how to farm and everything.
If he's willing to fund it, go ahead.
Well, he's funding a lot of shit in the little place he live. He doing his thing out there. Like he building. In
Wyoming, he bought 100 acres.
I would love to move up there near Vermont and like the price of living in Vermont, like the dude who crib I was at a couple years ago while I was in the school. Well, shit, it was been over 7 years. He paid $80,000 for a cabin and 80 acres. So basically, it was less than $1,000 per acre.
He said 100,000 for Middle America. He said it's 100,000 to buy 100 acres in Middle America. I don't know if that's true or not.
Bro, 80,000 for 80 acres. Bro. For 80 and acres. It was a house. It was a house. Right. It was a house like fucking outside his little 80 for 40,000, and that bitch came with 40 acres. While I was out there looking at that shit 7 years ago, and I'm like, God damn, I would love to move to Vermont because he built the cabins that he live in. He built them cabins out of the trees around his house. So he got it's a bed and breakfast. He got Airbnb joints. He was doing that shit 7 years. The white man. He paid for his school. The school I was going to, the military paid for. He paid for that shit out of his pocket because he was like, "Fuck, I just want to learn how to use heavy equipment so I can learn how to build more houses on my own." It was damn near half a mile driveway to get to his house, like a quarter mile to a half a mile. We had a ball out there. He had like 6 snowmobiles, a bunch of ATV. We were just out there having a ball.
Yeah, but
deer and bison every day.
Yeah, but and to that point, you have to be a specific type of person to live there. You can't take the average family right now. I feel like for that transition to take place, you need generational like education on that factors. Like it's doable. It sounds incredible, but it's going to be something that's going to run the course of probably 2 to 3 generations. Do we have 2 to 3 generations to put forth in this effort?
Like I said now,
Start
like
with
if we ain't
us.
start,
I think
look,
that's
we
the
ain't
whole
like
thing.
okay, look. What for as far as black people, a lot of motherfuckers that move, they say they starting up. We ain't started yet, so it's gonna be easy to go somewhere and just start up because a lot of people ain't started yet.
They ain't
So I don't think it's gonna take no 10 generations to start to learn something because they ain't learned shit yet. We're in the city just working these regular basic ass jobs. His wife was a teacher. They can go up there and work at McDonald's. It was a lot, you can make your money before you go, and then have an investment, then get a job up there and then work on it. But it ain't that complicated to make $40,000 to $80,000 because you making 20 something
It's
thousand at
interesting
McDonald's.
it's interesting though how much this ties to what the miseducation talks about, like getting us back to blue collar. You know what I'm saying? Blue collar energy, because like even with the pandemic, how much stuff that moms had to do by themselves when if you ain't grocery shop the right way, you have to figure out, what non-perishable foods you can have in the crib for the next couple months. You know what I'm saying? I hate cooking. I had to dig in that rice, that big ass bucket of Ghana rice that I never was using before, and then I had to make, you know what I'm saying? So like that self-sufficient eating off the land stuff is dope. But yeah, it does come from a privileged place because we can do it, but it ain't like anybody can just pick up and move to Vermont. And then you got to think about the lifestyle. Like I couldn't even live in the Twin Cities, and that's actually a city. Like it was just too slow. So it's a whole shift in our thinking and stuff like that. But it's a good point if you can get a second property out there.
Rob, you've been silent on this point. What is your perspective on this? Like, you and the wife, you pack up and go. Take you and your youngling, be out there, be a farm. I can see you with the little straw thing out your mouth and the hat. Tell me about it.
No,
Rob Henry, what's up?
I think what had to happen in that instance is I would have to have children here, and then they would have to be educated on how to, as well as I would have to be educated before I just go ahead and jump and move to Vermont.
Come on, YouTube.
I'm not. Nah.
YouTube.
YouTube YouTube helped me change out my alternator in my car yesterday. I couldn't believe it. My shit started.
In general though, do y'all be feeling like a lot of these concepts and ideas would be like they be sounding good, but they don't be practical?
They're
like,
not. It's not. I'm not gonna lie, and it's because of y'all's ideas that I'm hearing them out. But I don't find them to be practical because
what portion of it?
Okay, so just the logistics of it. You're talking about a place where there's not going to be broadband internet, cell phone reception. Like these are things that 70% of Americans can't last 30 minutes without their phones.
But that'll teach you though.
It'll
make you focus more.
You have to be
not having internet can be a very good thing after a while. Like originally you're gonna be like, oh shit.
As a person who and I'm gonna have an honesty moment. I literally couldn't identify a piece of anatomy inside of my patient the other day, and I had the ass pull that shit up on the internet so I could see it.
But you got a book though. You got an anatomy book too though. It took you 10 minutes longer.
If the book would have took me 10 minutes longer, and I didn't have 10 minutes to wait.
Yeah.
So there's a benefit from technology and being able to have certain accessories to our lives, things that make our lives
how would
easier.
you retain that? How would you retain that information after a while though? Because you'll just lose it knowing that you can go to the internet. But you got that book. You have to go to that book. You're gonna retain it. Like they were saying that the education that's given to you. Like what?
I feel like you're using that whole teachers. You got a calculator. And you ain't gonna have a calculator in your pocket theory. Like the fact is,
so that phone died. No. But what I'm saying is, it was in the book. They were saying how the education you receive is not going to be as long lasting as the education you give yourself.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was in 11 or 12.
11.
Okay, yeah. So, it was saying that like the stuff that you are taught don't last is not as impactful as the things you learn on your own.
So I guess where's the problem to say like, yeah, that stuff will come too though. Like what, like we gonna just all move. We're not gonna be able to get reception and all of these other things just because we moved out. Like,
But
and like, who's to say they don't have reception? I know when I go to like every place ain't as bad.
but
I just like the concept of, personally, like we don't produce nothing, we don't make nothing, and we don't build nothing, and that concept in itself, we have no value to society. Like Dometi was saying, when Corona hit, like the people that were suffering the most was us. Because
as far as what though? Because black people know how to make it off nothing.
Yeah,
we didn't
you
got
to be careful with that.
I disagree. I disagree.
Not suffering, but I'm saying losing. We used to the hustle, right? But we ain't got nothing that we gonna turn back to. Like let's say all these jobs.
But before that, we ain't had nothing to go back
so let's
to.
take this.
Let's take
it piece. Let's take it piece by piece. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So the first thing we want to think about. Let's talk about the aspect of us removing ourselves from this situation and just having our own. Are you basically saying if we could build a Chicago with nothing but black people, would we be better off?
I don't want to build another Chicago.
I don't want to do.
I want to build a better community environment.
No, I'm saying your own version of Chicago, but I'm just saying you have.
I'm not saying better off.
Okay, so then tell me.
I'm just saying we don't have nothing.
So
I feel like if we work together at all, it'd be better off than not working together. We don't work together really. So if we work together at all, we'd be better off.
Okay.
I'll say this to JB point though, even though we used to hustling with nothing, the pandemic exacerbated all these other problems we already have.
Exactly.
We already be having, low wage jobs that tend to be essential work. So if you work in a restaurant or if you work in the healthcare field, you black, we all know fast food, we all know LPNs, RNs, CNAs, all of these people still had to go to work when the pandemic first kicked off, yet they kids couldn't go back to school. Yeah, and so now you're financially strained because you ain't got no money to, set up daycare for your shorty who normally would be at school, but you still got to go to work, even though it's a pandemic. So we found ourselves in.
And that's what my perspective of saying that we got it the worst. So my wife, she work at a lower income school, but we live on the side of town that's on a higher income. I work at State Farm. I haven't been in my job since March. I ain't even thought about not working, but she has parents and students that struggle to be online for class because they mom got to work. They calling on the phone and all of this other stuff. As far as some of the parents that I work with, like they're at home working, they put their kids online and they at home working right next to them. Mom, I need help. All right, can y'all hold on? I'm gonna go work. And I don't know too many people that look like me that's working with me. Mm-hmm. And that's the perspective that I'm taking with that.
And it's a strange duality. It is a strange duality because even if we did create this uprising and created this place living, we still have to answer questions about how do we get our people, if anything, into a safety situation? Let's not sit here and deny, even if we built this place, we would still need some reliance on the government. And if a government is not substantially assisting the people, you run into this situation. Just north of the border, Justin Trudeau, in all his blackface glory, he's giving his people $1,400 a month in addition to whatever benefits you already get. So it's not to say that the government has exacerbated our situation. Let's not pull this thing, pull it from itself. We can't rely on our celebrities or our fortunate people in our country to get us out of here, get us out of our situation.
So chapter 11 says we can't though.
And I'm going to argue that. Argue that.
Yeah, but my thing is, why can't we work together? That's the main point. Back to keep skipping over.
And that's going back to
you have a community working together. Like when I was living in the projects, if it would have happened in the projects and people still have to go to work, it would have been a place for the kids because it's somebody there, that motherfucker that ain't working, and we would have to go to somebody else. Or somebody on that floor would have been watching us and feeding us. We also had chokes during the summertime. That was done through a lot of people in the community too. So it wasn't like we just was out of luck. Like when it comes down to black people, we just stopped working together as much as we used to.
Hey, Pooh Bat, I go right back to what Heero was saying in the beginning. My bad. Let me respect black. So you respecting my name. Let me not bring the block name to the podcast.
No, that's all good. Like, but
yeah. but nah, man, like Heero was saying, we were saying earlier, Black people don't have the same sense of community because, like, as we were talking about how the government doesn't support us, Asian immigrants, we don't even know who they vote for, how often they vote, or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
if you it's a couple dudes that you like, they for the most part, some of them like they like split like us. But I think for the most part they Democrat, depending on which set of Asians.
It's the older,
right? Okay, so they don't even.
The younger generation is more Democratic. The
They Democratic
older
as fuck.
generation is more
Okay.
Republican.
And
So
remember I showed you that
boom.
video about. Go ahead.
No, just real quick. All right. So my broader point is they're not even a strong voting bloc. You know what I'm saying? They desperate like
Yeah.
us. We go 90% for one party. They're not even a strong voting bloc. You know what I'm saying? They divert whatever. But because they have a connection to a certain country, they got like a shared community. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when they got what you're talking about, like you go to Chinatown, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure they got systems. The families all know each other. You know, they understand this person, okay, this household is going to watch these kids, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's one of the things that Black folks are robbed of because we.
And they got their own
became
stores and everything like that. And for the African community, y'all stores are on commercial. Y'all grocery store and everything. I know for the most part, them the way I see the most African stores at. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they other places?
No, a lot of. So whenever I go to get like my gege bread, my gari, and all that stuff, that's homegrown by a lady who then puts it out of her.
Like
Sells it.
The commercial outlet.
You breaking up.
You breaking up.
Bad. You gotta go back to wherever you was, Demedy.
Oh, I was done talking. I'm
That's what the government said.
That's what the government said. Quit talking bad to my boy.
I'm saying what I was saying is just like the African stores that I know of are on commercial, and they owned by Africans, and all the Africans shop there.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's a sense of community, but I think we all can agree on at least this one thing. If we had the capital, because remember when Asian Americans came here, they were given reparations. When the Irish came here and were treated as slaves, they were given reparations.
The Jews got reparations.
Even after 9/11, there were funds that were sent out to people of Arab and Sheikh descent to help them. So if you want to be real, if let's put our biases up front. If I say I want some Chinese food, you're not gonna buy that from a Black person or a white person. You're gonna go to the mama Asian place. If you're going to a gas station and you hear a voice that sounds Arab on the intercom, you're not gonna second guess that. There are certain aspects of our society that we just expect to see certain people doing. And for Black people, I don't think we have that identity yet. And once we find that identity, other than culture or being good on a basketball court or a football field, then we can start ascertaining some type of wealth in this country. We need to have an identity. As jobless or as mindless as those things are, we pay respect to them because we know we are going to use them in our everyday works. When and how do we make Black people in an everyday work type thing? Is how we're going to do it, I believe. So I think financial is, unless somebody wants to throw it out there against it. But I think financially, once we're on headway, we'll be better off.
I think that's what chapter.
We can spend $1 million on clothes and hair, but we can't work together. And money we get a church, we can have a set aside community fucking pot, like a treasury, like fucking gang members used to do. It's not hard to make a way for yourself. That's like. So that's not complicated. Putting a couple dollars into something every once in a while, and then eventually it grows. Or you can have a CD that can be controlled, by somebody. But you just gotta have some trust in the community. Like we just have to have somebody in the community. Like, okay, we're gonna get this money to so and so, and we're gonna have access to it. We're gonna talk about it. The problem is we don't work together. That's the main thing. If we can work together outside of protesting and looting to actually do something, it'll be buzzing.
Well, chapter 11 talks a little bit about that because we talk about the snitches, man. We talk about the people within the group that hold us down. And back in high school, not snitching was a huge thing. But we do allow, and this is, Black people have such big hearts. Black people aren't afraid to cut off their own. Other races will, but Black people will let everybody into the circle as long as you're black. That's your way in. When not everyone who's black needs to be in the circle, you can be part of the beneficial, but you don't need to be part of this building block because you're not a strong foundation. There's Malcolm X was taken out from someone on the inside. There should have been, for as many people as Martin Luther King had around him on that balcony, someone should have had the wherewithal to say, "Hey, look, you're a hit. You're a marked target. We need to protect you. You can't be out here like this." But some people would much rather be seen in the photograph of his last death than not be seen at all and watching him progress. I think that's something that we don't take true ownership of. We don't take the time to protect the people who are at the top, and we also don't have a vetting system to decide, hey, look, man, we get it. You want to be down with the cause, but you got about $50,000 in debt that makes you a mark for someone to get to us.
You got to know that Malcolm X and Martin knew that they were about to be killed, or they knew that their death was on the rise.
And nobody else have anything to do with it. That says
well, they were telling, like people were telling, like Dick Gregory and and the people that are a part of it. They were like, all right, we need security, but they knew what was going to happen. They just know exactly when, but that wasn't their fear, and they knew it would have helped everybody. Like as far as them, like a lot can happen when a motherfucker died in power because a lot of people do stuff. Just like the little that happened when George Floyd and them died, and the people go out and do stuff. Even more can happen if it's a more important person.
Domati said in the chat, and the sense of community is what Black people were really robbed of. Black Americans were really robbed of. That is a good point. Like we've created this community, right, where we all can come and talk and speak freely. But this group also is a prime example because Black, you had 36 people invited into that group. I checked before we went on. There's 36 people in that private group, but consistently we've only been a group of 5 to 4.
Yeah.
Even
Betty was in 2, so we can't act like it was a lot.
But bro, why you mad?
Nah, the Betty worked. Certain people got excuses. Like the hood niggas ain't got no excuses. My brother just got out of jail, so
even if we're let's just use ourselves on Facebook as an example. This is absolutely
like my brother just got out of jail. He ain't got no excuse.
Hey, I'm saying he was gone for a month. Now he back. So after this, he gonna have to jump on this book.
So
he like, you've been reading books for the whole month, man. So you can't join the book club.
No, and that's to my point. Point. We don't even even if you didn't read all the chapters, you could just come here to talk though, to put your ideas into the Ethernet. But people,
everything as far as this book, we're not the only we really ain't discussing exactly what they're saying in the book because there's so much outside
we live in it
that goes with it. So it ain't like fucking we like, okay, and when he said this and that, we really talking about it.
So for me personally, I see the example given to us in real time. Like, look, man, this is free. All we asking for is an hour of your day to have intellectual banter amongst your brothers. And people can't give us that. So we out here expecting them to move to the buckwheats of nowhere, put down a few coins, and sacrifice time, energy. And Chapter 11 stresses that. What the Black community needs is time and energy. And
remember, we were talking about how a lot would change if certain people left the area that they are in. As far as when we talked about one of my homies that got shot up, and it would have been different for him if he'd moved to the suburb versus me. A lot of people just need to move away. Like, especially these young bucks, out here fighting these wars over nothing. If they were outside of that environment and they have to worry not about that, like it was one of those prison shows on Netflix where the shorty was saying, all I needed to do was leave the city because if I outside of that, I'd be good. It wasn't even on Netflix; it was on Facebook. It was those that fucking they was doing a documentary of one of them. What the hell is the bad boy schools called?
Alternative schools.
One of those schools, alternative schools. Yeah, one of them alternative schools. And they was doing a documentary on it. And some of the kids that were in trouble, like Shorty was in some shit that it wasn't really on him, but because it looked like it, he had to worry about his life and getting involved in dumb shit to defend himself.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, if I can leave the town, move my people outside, I'll be okay. You take them motherfucker out of a piss poor environment, and then they have to react to the environment that they live in.
The Lions program that I took those 6 kids from Chicago and brought them down to Arkansas. I didn't know at the time that if they made it through summer school, their juvenile record would be sealed. I didn't know that. So when I took, there's one kid that he's the shortest one in the group, but always wanted to fight. And I'm 6'5", 300 pounds. And I remember the first time I went to go wake him up for like early morning run, because I was like, well, if y'all gonna live with me, y'all gonna work out with me. And they're like, but we're not going to the NFL. I was like, yeah, but why can't you? And I wake him up and he'd be furious. He'd be fighting me. Until the first time I like grabbed him by the chest and put him up against the ceiling. And he was like, oh, there's a different world of power out there. I was like, oh yeah. And after that, I mean, the dude used to beat me in the races
like that. Tyrese.
Like he
he Melvined them.
Yeah.
Like it didn't occur to me that like no one had ever just challenged my man's. So like there is something true in that. If you remove the beast out of the jungle, he will conform. He will conform.
So like you take them animals out the jungle, put their ass to the zoo. They ass lose they all their energy. That's what we in now. The fucking zoo. We lost all our motherfucking drive to grow and progress in life because we in this piss poor ass environment. Like they were saying, like all we want to do now is copy what everybody else doing. Anybody want to do nothing new. What the book said in chapter 12, right?
Chapter 12 talks about how we kind of and speaking to like the fame of similar to what Damati said about not wanting to be too much in your own gloat. We don't want to talk and preach about our own stuff. I always say this in an undermining way. However you choose to get your money, to get your bread, it's your story, your way. But there's something to be said about someone who starts a clothing line and then your homeboy sees your success and then starts another clothing line of the same brand. I'm not saying you shouldn't have done that, my guy. What I am saying is if he made a shirt clothing line, you should have made a matching pants clothing line. You both making shirts now creates a split in the community. And whether you know it or not, by you taking one shirt over the other, you're creating a dissonance. You're saying, oh, this shirt was better, even though you just might not have had enough money to buy both of them.
Yeah, but I mean, buy next time.
I think JB and I had a conversation this week that touches on that, where we were talking about this idea of what were we talking about, JB? Career day, right? And JB threw out this idea like it'd be great, to start a nonprofit organization focused on that. And then we both came to the realization like there's probably organizations out there already. We just gotta find them and just bring them together.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm with the 100 Black Men, so I'm working on that right now. So I can be plugged in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'll be forgetting that we publicly recording, so I was just about to have a regular side convo. I was about to ask if you knew Jeff Beckham. My boy Jeff Beckham is a 100 Black Man.
I just jumped in.
Okay, well, if you see Jeff, he's good people. Tell him you're my man. He's real good people. Tell Jeff Beckham.
Jeff Beckham.
Yeah, good people.
And resources. So speaking to that, like resources, how important is it for us to make use of our resources? We know that there are people out there. We have heroes out there. We are out there. We got to be able to do something about that. And this is at the part of the chapter where I stopped reading. So chapter 12 is all chapter 12 is all on y'all. No, what other parts of chapter 12 stuck out to you guys?
I think chapter 12, the book kind of dove a little bit more into a hireling as compared to what was the other one?
The service.
A servant, yeah, a servant.
Rob, I was gonna point out how San Francisco changed how you say "to."
You say what you mean?
Into.
Oh, I know what you mean.
I heard it too.
So what is this hireling versus it? You know, and I do recall this part. This was the last part before I dozed off that I kind of remember hearing about how why can't we get black people to work for other black people?
I think.
Remember, I was just talking about that. That's what I brought up earlier. That's what I was just talking about.
But
how,
yes, but let's expand on that. Like, if Kanye West is out in Wyoming right now, we don't see troves of people running out there to go live with him and help him build this city. Why don't we want to work for each other?
And
okay. If you want to say it's like that, like people waiting on him to get done. Ain't nobody looking to go for nobody to go. Ain't nobody looking to help nobody do shit. They want to join after you're done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he done. He did it. Just like ain't even that many white people going to help Jeff Bezos. I mean, not Jeff Bezos, but Bill Gates build his town. So everybody just really waiting. The whole country lazy, bro. This is America. Everybody is waiting for somebody else to get it done so they can join it. That's all it is.
I think part of it is like it's a token syndrome too. Like whoever's the leader, like you feel like that person, like it's only could be one of me, so you feel like you getting led, you're gonna lead differently, but then the person that's got to follow behind them, they probably saying, you know, the person that's got to follow behind is probably saying that this person treated me differently or pushing me harder because I'm black or whatever. But then the book also say like if a white person come in, then you follow them a lot easier.
That's a fact. And you know what? And when black companies make mistakes, right? We be like my first.
Rob, you a fool.
Hey, Devette, you we didn't hear nothing you said out the black.
Devette, man, your connection's like jacked up.
He getting on the plane right now. That's why. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't know. We're gonna be able to hear him for a while. But go ahead, try to finish it off since you're African. See if you got that telepathy.
That's not okay. One, we're two different types of African. Two, that's not how it works. You got to be from the same village in order for that shit to work. Okay. You know, we have people, the Ghanaians and Nigerians have been fighting over jollof rice since the birth of our nation. So we don't find anything pleasant. Like we're only friends in America. But if me and him went back to Africa, the moment we get off the plane, it's beef.
I don't know you, bro.
I don't know you, bro. Where were we? Hopefully we can get him.
Nah, but he was. I think where he was going with that is saying like if you make a mistake as a black person and your leader is a black person, like they come down on you so much harder, seemingly because you made a mistake. But there's a weird dynamic that happens because when you see two white people, right, and they work together, they so laid back, so cool. They talk about the drinks they done had and all of this going out, but I gotta be perfect in front of my black leadership.
I think that's definitely a class thing.
Yeah,
that's got to be a class thing, right? Because for me, like let's say if I went to Rob for accounting information and beef and anything like that nature, in my mind I've developed this friendship already with Rob. So if Rob came to me with this information and I told Rob, hey, I want to cross-reference it with somebody, he shouldn't be upset about that. It's a business first, but the fact I came to you first is proof on itself, because we know one thing about business: the first person you get your quota from, 9 times out of 10 you're going to stick with that quota. But the thing that hurts black people, I think, in this situation would be a situation where let's say, for example, Rob owned a shoe store and I walked up into that shoe store and said, hey man, them new J's is pretty fresh, can I get those? And Rob was like, yeah, here, straight off the lot, here you go. And as I'm walking out, a white dude walks in and he says, hey man, I got these shoes off for 50%. That's not my business transaction. I don't know what that white man has done to earn that favor, but it's gonna sit in the back of my mind that I didn't get that. So when you create that level of spite, it seems like we as black people, we want to service white people and not our own. I find that to be strange because it's only in business that we actually do this. And when it comes to like social events, when it comes to like athletic events, anything like that, the white dude's getting picked last on the basketball court. I don't care how good he is. I can't make a layup to save my life with my left hand. I've never been picked last. So I feel like there's this weird dynamic. I don't know. Like, and maybe I'm just talking out my ass.
No, I think you're spot on. And I think a lot of the conversations just come together. I feel like we as a people we just gotta work together more, and be a little bit more restrained in casting judgment or writing people off, especially when they are people.
No.
Right?
Give us a chance.
And my example would be like, for the past few weeks, I've been like highlighting different businesses, right? The first week I did it, I think it was the first week, I highlighted a business, and shortly after that, I hit them up like, yo, let me get 3 more shirts, right? The shirts still haven't arrived, but it's fine. I get it. He's starting his business, right? And I'd have to exercise patience with him. And that's like, you know what?
You gotta
fucking with him no
understand
more.
Corona.
Mm-hmm.
Because he might have sent it.
I haven't told you guys this, but every time you guys do put those links in there, I reach out to them and be like, hey, do you have like a promo or something I can give like to the viewership? So like you can know, hey, they came from us. Like, you know, hey, these people came from us. And I'll get emails from them. I put these videos out about 2-3 weeks out in advance. So like this video won't come out for another 2 weeks. So they got ample time to get it out. But that's part of the plan. But when it gets to the point where, oh, I don't have that, or I go to your website and your website link doesn't work, or I email your email link and it sends me to this email link doesn't exist. It's like those things I can't, it's not me being spiteful. I'm literally trying and I can't reach you. So you have to at least have the bare minimum access point. And if you don't have that as a Black business, then my patience doesn't even have a chance to sit with you. Go ahead, JB.
So this is kind of one of those things where I say we so far behind as understanding businesses, right? Like I feel like this is where a lot of the big white giants were in like the 70s and the 60s, right? Like I feel like it was so many of them starting businesses, and only so many of y'all gonna make it, right? and that's where I feel like we just starting. And I think a lot of us take that personally, like, oh, they're not supporting my business. No, your business is just, you're not doing what you have to be doing as far as to be successful as a business. Like there's so many things that go into being a successful business and being an entrepreneur. Like I watch Shark Tank and I watch The Profit, and they coming in and they saying, you don't know how much one unit costs. Like, and if you don't know those things, you don't really deserve to be, like, it's going to be hard to be successful. And that's why we have so many people that have a business just enough to pay the bills. Like it's not growing. You don't know why it's not growing because you don't know none of the things that you need to know as far as a business owner. And even for like people that make music or people that are selling those shirts, like you feel like as a consumer, I should be seeking out your product. Bro, you're not Nike, you're not Coke. Like I know Nike, I know Coke. You need to be in front of me every single day. If I'm your fan as a new music artist, I need to know when your music is dropping. It's not up for me to research you. Like, I'm sorry, you're not there yet.
This is going to be the, like, you know, every week I put a clip in, this is going to be the clip. Because, hey, baby, you knock that shit out. Because me as a person, a creator of, like, the Identity Booth and my podcast, I talk about news, politics, social events, and they all revolve around Black people. But you know, the demographics of my content is watched 65% by white people. And when I started thinking about that, like, how am I going to make content for Black people that only white people watch? It then sank into me. It was like, fuck it. If they want to know, I'm gonna tell them. Because believe it or not, even though they give us a title of inventing culture, but it's my job to put it out there. That's why I have you guys on here. I told y'all, hey, I'm going to use your likeness to get this thing going. But every week, someone new subscribes to the channel, and when I look at how we're linked together, it's through one of you guys. And that's fine. But also, I'm never going to pressure you guys to share my shit because it's my shit. And furthermore, it's not until I can pay you to do it that I'm going to ask you to do it. My motto on this bitch is support is free, because that's it. That's it for right now. But when I look at my analytics and I'm making my money off of this channel, like I'm looking at the podcast from the first one. I made $1.33 off of 100 minutes of viewership. That's 10 people watching it because it's an hour-long podcast. 10 random people watch this, and y'all made me $1.50. So it's like you have to initiate your own causes. You have to get used to that. And once I get a sponsorship for it, okay, well, hey, I have 4 guys here. If y'all want to sponsor us, we all got to get watches. Oh, well, okay, well, hey, that's you. You want us to wear your shit? All of us got to wear your shit. And when you start talking business to people like that, you then initiate people. You don't give people stuff to sell for you. You give people stuff that they can make money off of. And that's how you get support. When they have something to gain, you can do it. Don't do shit for free. Even amongst your own people, you can do them a favor, but don't do it for free. You have to be able to see down the line that you're going to profit from this. And that's just my perspective on it. But damn, JB, that was some heartfelt shit. Because I remember when I used to have motherfuckers, I still got a motherfucking episode on this podcast that has 1 view in 2 years. That means my own mama didn't even watch that shit. But you still gotta make it. You still gotta make it.
Oh man. And I be telling people that don't mean that I don't support you. I don't want to see you be successful, but my part of my job is like to help people write their business plans for the agency at State Farm. And I tell them all the time, like, a branding, it's going to take you at least 2 years to create your brand. So like, what do you think? And that's what State Farm behind you. So what do you think as a person that's building a business, how long do you think it's going to take you to get to where you want to go? And sometimes, I think we do a really bad job of like finding our market and just working to our market. Like, we want to be so big so fast, but like, you just need to grind. Like, this is my people. All right, I'm gonna just keep doing this till I make enough capital, then I expand a little more. Like, if you want to be a business owner, you need to figure out how to professionally be a business owner. You should be studying businesses and studying the things that you want to do, not just being like, oh, well, people, I know a lot of people, they should buy from me. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You know a lot of broke people. You find out that shit real quick when you get a business. You know a lot of broke people.
They're not jumping out their pockets real quick to make a change to support you. Unfortunately, like, it just is what it is,
And I think the branding is so important, because when I first started branding my podcast and everything, I used Project ETO as my moniker. And I quickly found out that, that's not appealing. That's not what it was. But the moment I brought that bear into the forefront of people's mind, it was immediately picked up. It was immediately identified, because not only does the bear say my name on the front of his chest, on the surgical cap, it has the logo. And then it's just a weird thing to see a bear wearing surgical clothes in front of a phone booth. Like, it stands out. It's like you have so many fucking questions. But it wasn't until I brought that into the forefront. It was thanks to my sister, who was like, where's your bear, one episode? And I was like, oh shit, it's over here to the side. And that's when I was like, damn, she recognized the show through the bear before she even recognized me, her brother, on the show. So it was like one of those things that you have to work to your audience, and you're absolutely right. But you might know, you're gonna find out starting a business, a lot of broke people real quick. Chapter, did anybody have anything else for chapter 12? Because we're
no.
And for the most part, I think chapter 13 is gonna be a double back on a bunch of
chapter 13
everything.
is a double back on concept. I didn't get to it. Are we stopping at 13?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay. Did anybody have any thoughts on 13 there? Anything that wants to stick out? Because I
just double back as far as it go back to religion and everything.
Yeah. I see. All right, then.